tell them to say that, by the way. But I'm going to start with a question for everybody. If everybody in the audience, raise your hand if you think your company's annual incentive program actually leads to results. Because your bonuses actually lead people to be better. My God, no hands. Y'all are ready to be disruptive. This is awesome. Okay, cool. Well, that's exactly the conversation today. Chances are incentives do lead to performance. The world runs on it. But not all incentives are created equal. Matter of fact, some even create counterproductive behaviors. And that's what this tale of incentives starts today. In this tale, that's obviously spelled wrong, it's because my boy Butters here. See, Butters and I spent a lot of time back in school. I wasn't the coolest kid back in college, so Butters and I used to kick it on the rigs. And in the psych lab, he taught me a big lesson. And the lesson essentially goes, no matter what we're talking about in HR, whether it's training development, performance, compensation, it all comes down to learning. How do we teach employees to learn and apply that learning and get some output that we care about? And incentives are just a way to drive that learning, right? Make it stickier, make it last longer. Learning comes down to two things. Frequent practice, which is why 10,000 hours of practice leads to mastery, or immediate feedback, right? Put your hand on a hot stove, it's hot, immediate feedback, I learned my lesson quickly, right? And that's what we want to apply today. Back to my rat friend. So, our data psych lab, I put this little guy in a box. And in this box, as you can see, his only job was to get on his back paws, his front paws on a lever, pushed out, right, so it would shine this bright light. And for that, I give him a little treaty treat. I give him a little incentive boost. Now, for those of you who think that's crazy, and I'm talking about mice right now, that box is our cubicle. That rat is you and me, by the way. That light is 8 to 5. The boss is in town this week. Productivity is your lever, your emails and your messages nobody cares about. And incentives are the bonuses that you get every day, right? So, how do we give those incentives? How do we do it to get the most performance? 4 ways, stick with me, this is the confusing part. First one is interval, based on time. So fixed interval means I give that little guy a treat every 30 seconds on the 30-second mark. Second one, variable, random time. I give him a treat every 30 seconds, plus or minus a few. Now I can't time it out quite right. The next 2 we're going to talk about are behavior-based. So ratios, there they are, ratios. So in this one, a fixed behavior, I'd give the little guy a treat every other time he pushed the lever. Maybe it's every 3 times he pushed the lever, every 5 times. Talk about that later. Now the 4th version is variable ratio, variable behavior. I give that little guy a treat, I don't know, every time like 3 to 5 in a range. Now he doesn't know when the treat's coming, so he keeps pushing, right? So what do we find out? What does the data show us? What's the best way to tie incentives to performance? The best way by far is the first, that last one I mentioned to you, the variable ratio, based on behavior. See that straight line? That guy can't time out the next thing. So he's pushing that lever like he's giving CPR. And honestly, the only time you really see this is in like gambling or video games, right? Like slot machines, billion-dollar industries that have a 1-800 number to get you off of it. We're not using that, by the way. Second one's fixed ratio. Again, the top 2 or 4 are both based on behaviors, note. You see those little check marks because he starts to learn when that next reward's coming. Push it 3 times, I get a reward. Kind of like your commission salesman, right? Third, variable interval, time. Think about when you work from home, and you check your email every like 5 minutes to see if a new message is coming you gotta respond to. That's kind of what we're talking about here. Now the last of the 4, and the most ineffective, and DisruptHR, the one we're using, is fixed interval, common merit date. This is how we today are attaching incentives to performance. The worst way. Now, as you think about this, first of all, see these little bubble things? Every one of those dashes represents a behavior. They push that button. After that, you see this little bubble. What that represents is laziness. Boy got tired on me. Set his rat butt on the curb for like 25 seconds because he knows the next reward's coming at 30 seconds. And that's what we're doing. So not only are we using the worst way to tie incentives to performance, we're actually creating complacency. We're creating laziness, y'all. You realize that? Matter of fact, if I were to ask you, what is your salary? Would you think about your bonus, annual bonus in your head, and would you add that up? If you would, it's because you expect it. It can't be a good incentive then, right? And we're using it for all kinds of things, and it's not going away. So, what do we do about it? I propose we switch in the schedules. It's not about pulse, it's not about quarter, it's about changing the schedules. Because we know that this leads to learning, and we know that learning leads to performance. And my God, if we can show just a sliver of measured difference to the business, we win. By the way, rule number 4, I knew that Butters got out, that boy's become an alcoholic, he's drinking downtown somewhere. I want you all to think about him as you do the next drink, because I'm going to do it as well. Thanks for listening to my speech about incentives, y'all.